So it is time for another library treasure hunt. I am so excited. These end up being so much fun to do, and I always get new authors, new books to try, and they're usually pretty enjoyable. Even if I DNF one of them, it still ends up being, for the most part, a great ride. So let's spin together and see what genre we're going to go hunt for. Oh dear. Yeah, okay. So let's go.
I still wonder how, yeah, you always make it right, and maybe it's all chance, but either way, you showed me how to reach for the best of myself. It's all good when you show the way, yeah. 'Cause even if I fall, ooh, I trust you'll stay, yeah, stay. And through the dark and cold.
All right, so it wasn't too bad because it did get us into the H's, and of course my cats are sharpening nails. I apologize if you hear that in the background, but this got us to Grady Hendrix, and I have actually not read Horror Store yet. I am so excited. I have him on backlist that I want to get to, so this works out perfectly for me. It's also not that thick, so I'm hoping it'll be kind of a quick, easy, fun read. All I know is it's supposed to be like an IKEA kind of store in Ohio, and crazy, creepy things happen at night. And so when the employees come in the morning, stuff's broken and things like that. So they have some volunteers, some brave volunteers that are going to stay the whole night at the store to see what's actually happening. So I'm kind of excited about this one. I am 25% into Horror Store and by Grady Hendrix, and it is wild. Isn't it, Talia? Basically, we have Amy, who is kind of at the end of her rope. She's barely making ends meet, and she's trying to be a good employee, but she feels like it's mindless, brainless work at this kind of equivalent to an IKEA store that she's working at. And so whenever her boss pulls her in, she's thinking, I'm about to get sacked. But she sees in there Ruth Ann, who's like employee of the year. Like, she loves everybody. Everybody loves her. She always remembers birthdays and anniversaries and kids' names and all the things. So she's like, I can't possibly be getting fired if Ruth Ann's here too. And basically the boss is saying, we're losing a lot of money on this inventory that gets trashed overnight. Our cameras aren't catching anybody who's doing it. So I'm going to ask you two to stay overnight, and all three of us are going to walk patrols around the building and see if we can't catch them in the act. And both of the women are like, no, I think we have plans. And he's like, but it's going to pay you double time and, nice little bump in your paycheck. And of course, for some reason, we know why Amy has to say yes. Like, she needs it for her rent. Not sure why Ruth Ann agrees, but she agrees. And it seems almost like maybe she's just wanting to help out because she's that kind of, go-getter and goody two-shoes. So they're doing that. And so we are at 25%. We are at our night, and they're walking patrols, and weird stuff's already kind of happening. And Ruth Ann's like, I never come out here on the floor because the one time I tried when I first arrived here, I felt like I just kept getting lost, and I kept feeling like almost like the store was moving around me, so that where I thought I was going, all of a sudden I wasn't going the right way. And Amy's like, that's crazy, you just don't know how to read a map. And so they just continue going, but then they start seeing weird things like rats in random places and graffiti that wasn't there before when Amy had just given a tour to the new people. And so it's already starting to give some of those creepy vibes, and I'm having a good time though. I am now 50% into Horror Store. And oh my word, a lot has happened since I last updated you guys. It's taken turns. Essentially, it started off with them, of course, doing their walkthroughs of the store, trying to see what's going on, and they come across a homeless person who's living in the store, and so they're like, okay, this is what's going on. This is why there's graffiti. This is why things are getting broken or taken or whatever. And so they, are trying to corner this guy, and they run into another set of people who are there filming a kind of ghost chasers reality show kind of thing. And they want to be famous for actually capturing a ghost on film, and they're positive the store's haunted. And so they're bummed, thinking that this might just be someone who's homeless, but they're like, no, maybe it's actually a ghost. And the chase that they have with this individual is actually really creepy, the way this individual moves. But they do finally confront him, and he's down on his luck and begs, for their help and everything. And the crew are kind of like, this is a bummer. We were really hoping to capture something. And so one of them's like, hey, I have an idea. It looks great on TV, a seance. People know. Don't do Ouija boards and don't do seances. So at 50%, we have something very gross that's happening. So I'm hoping that you're not squeamish. I had to stop eating. It was pretty graphic. And then, like my grandma used to say, be careful when you're knocking on a door because someone could answer. And I don't want to give anything away, but all I'm saying is it has now taken a turn. And I'm starting to get scared enough that the cats were chasing each other and I didn't know it. And they come barreling into the room while I'm reading this. And I jumped like 10 feet in the air. I'm not going to lie. So it's got me jumpy at 50%. And we'll see. I finished Horror Store and oh my gosh. What an incredibly wild ride. It's got the humor you expect from Grady Hendrix and the twists and turns and wonkiness that you expect from Grady Hendrix. And all inside of a store that's like an IKEA. It did turn even more supernaturally weird. I'm telling you guys, don't do a freaking seance. Don't do it. Yeah, it got pretty gross. It got pretty chilling. It got pretty intense. I will say the ending was not what I thought it was going to be. It kind of surprised me with what they did at the end. But I'm not mad at it. I'm giving it a 4-star overall, and I'm glad that I read it. And I do recommend it for anybody who wants horror that's not so over the top grotesque or over the top scary. Because I have a very small tolerance for horror, and I did okay. So I do recommend it. So now that I've finished Horror Store, I am now going to go ahead and see what's on the new release shelf, and let's see what kind of thriller horror we can get.
I still wonder how.
I'm only about 11% into Incidents Around the House. And it is so stinking creepy. Oh my gosh. The audiobook narration is with a little girl because the whole story is told from the viewpoint of this 8-year-old little girl. And essentially, she's got mom, she's got dad, and then inside her closet lives other mommy. And other mommy comes out when nobody else can see her, and other mommy keeps asking her, can I live in your heart? No! It is so freaking creepy. And then on top of that, we're now getting where even at just 11%, mommy's not just in the closet. Now mommy's sometimes down the hallway. Now other mommy she's outside playing with a friend, and other mommy shows up and looks like her friend and is like crying, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings. What can I do? How can I make you feel better? You could let me in your heart. Oh my god. Like, I'm so scared. Thankfully I've got a Mama Boots here, And she's keeping, well, that did not come across quite as fierce as I was hoping, Mama Boots. Would you protect me, Mama? Would you protect me? The answer's no. Absolutely not. So I'm scared despite it being sunny and beautiful out. And I thought that would help while listening to this. But despite that, I'm terrified. I'm now 37% into it, and oh my gosh, it's creepy. This little girl keeps seeing a woman in her closet who she calls Other Mommy, and this ghost apparition, whatever you want to call it, essentially keeps asking her every night, "Let me into your heart, Bella," and keeps talking about reincarnation. And she's like, "I just need you to say I can come into your heart to live." And little girl so far is like, "No, that sounds creepy." Tries to tell her parents, but the parents aren't really listening to her. And yeah, even really, really creepily is on the playground, and a friend of hers is, like, "Quit telling me about Other Mommy. It's scaring me. I don't want to hear it anymore," and runs away. And so Bella runs after her and sees her crying and inside of one of the little cubby hole, on top of the slides. And she's like, I'm sorry. I won't talk about Other Mommy anymore. Please stop crying. What can I do to make you stop crying? And the little girl says, "You could let me in your heart, Bella." And so at 37%, something just happened that caused the parents to even be like, "Yeah, we need to leave the house." And so they left the house, which you always see in, horror movies and books, that they don't do that. And you're sitting there yelling at them, like, just freaking leave the house. But guess what, guys? Other Mommy follows them. So I am now at the halfway point. And it is so freaking creepy, you guys. It is so freaking creepy. I don't know if it's because it's the spiritual entity that feels demon-like, and those always freak me out, or if it's because it's told by the perspective of this really young, little innocent child, or if it's because they can't get anybody to freaking help them. Like, every time they finally get somebody to help them, Other Mommy shows up and bad things happen, and it's not good. But it does make me wonder, like, what would I do if I had a friend that needed me to help her out because she was being haunted or had a demon or whatever? Like, would I be brave enough to let her in my home? Would I be brave enough to try to confront this entity with her? I don't know. Is that horrible? What would you guys do? Let me know. Oh my gosh. I just finished it. So freaking creepy, you guys. So freaking creepy. Yeah, I agree, Rumble. It was a wild ride. Yeah. I was like holding my breath the whole last 2 or 3 chapters, holding my breath. I'm like, no, 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 no. Wow, I really can't say a lot without it giving something away, so I'm not, but 4 stars. Highly recommend. Don't read it at night. Wow, my mind is blown. It's so freaking creepy. I'm glad I didn't read this in Halloween time. I'm so glad. Oh. I'm DNFing it. I tried. I got about 11% into the It Girl, and it's just boring. It is so boring to me. It jumps timelines before and after, so there's no actual chapter numbers. It just says before and after, so you can easily get lost if you're listening to the audiobook and trying to track in the physical book. So just keep that in mind. But I'm just bored. I am just really, really bored. And this is a really thick book, so I appreciate the librarian's suggestion, but this one is going to be a miss for me.